And we're back. You already know what it is. It's your boy Mars Blaine. Say it for you one more time. It's your boy Mars Blaine. Hey, and we back. You already know what it is. Welcome to the podcast, the illustrious podcast, the No Name Podcast. We're still working on the name. Like, it's been a minute. Like, we like 10, 12 episodes in. And we still ain't got no name for the podcast. I'm working on it, y'all. I'm working on it. You know what I mean? It's not easy. It's definitely not easy coming up with a name for the podcast. Got to trademark some things. Put some things in order before we do that. Shit is real. You know what I'm saying? We got a lot to get into today, you know. Few perspectives. I was sitting here chilling around, you know, going through the news cycle, you know, CNN and Fox News. You gotta watch Fox News just to get the wild perspective as well. You know, CBS, NBC, all the news networks, they all kind of do the same thing, so it don't really matter. But, you know, just to get different perspective on things. I was watching a few documentaries lately. First, I want to send our condolences out to Pittsburgh and the shooting that took place Saturday. That was Saturday on the 27th of October, where the assailant went into the synagogue and killed, I believe, 8 people and shot 4 cops. And, you know, I want to send my peace and condolences to those families that were affected, in the Jewish community as well in that area, and the city is Pittsburgh as a whole, you know, the nation as a whole. It's like, there's so many ways I could go about this, you know what I mean? As a black man in America, when things like this happen to a minority, basically, like, Jews aren't a minority in my opinion, you know what I mean? They have their own communities, and they have a vast economical wealth as well. So it's like, it's hard for me to call them a minority. Maybe religiously they may be a minority in the sense in America, possibly. It depends on if you're a numbers person, you want to look at numbers, that perception. But still, my condolences to those that were affected by this event. One of the people that was killed, she was 97. I forget her name. I don't want to mess her name up, but she was a Holocaust survivor, and she gets killed by a white man in America, supposed to be the land of the free, home of the brave, a hateful white man at that, anti-Semitic rhetoric that he put on one of the social media sites that a lot of the far right followers go on. He was an avid contributor on that website. So you know, it's crazy because we live in a time where, you know, our president can say whatever the hell he feels like, and it's no backlash from people who follow him. Like, at some point when Obama was in office, it was certain points where black people were still like, hey man, you can't do that, or you shouldn't be doing that, or you shouldn't be approving this, and you shouldn't be approving that. We were critical, even though we were still supportive. And it's time, and it's like, if you have a following at any time, and whether it's social media, you're a celebrity, you're a pastor, you're a politician, whatever you do in your professional career that allows you to have a following and people support you in a way that it's a public opinion of support, like they have to put their opinion out in public the way they support you. Hopefully you never get on a high horse to the point where you feel like you're never wrong. Trump I swear, I think he never feels like he's wrong. Like, even though this is an older white male who just like the Las Vegas thing, and even if all these things are scripted and whatever the case may be, people want to say, oh, like conspiracy theorists always want to say, oh, this is just something they're doing to blind your eye from this and blind your eye from that. You're right, but we have so many outlets now and social media and news that that we can get this knowledge even without following regular news. And I know a lot of people like, oh, well, a lot of people don't follow all these other news sites. And it's like, all right, well, at some point in time, you have to be perception minded and say, from my perception, shit is looking shady. Let me expand my resources. Let me expand my research and not just go through the TV and through the newspaper. Let me look through these certain websites who are credible and they have a following that's kind of mixed, where they're okay with people giving their opinions and not being based off just logic. It's more fact involved as well. Now, like I said, this rhetoric that Trump's been spitting for the last 2-3 years since he got in office, like he's in office and he still's campaigning like he's not in office. And I don't know if it's because, you know, that's just what he's the only way he knows how to do this thing, because he has no political background. I mean, at some point in time, we got to look at it as this, like, voting is important, even if you think it's not. Local voting is important. Your municipality voting is important. You cannot say it's not and say, oh, it's conspiracies and all this other stuff that are allowing us to not partake in local municipality stuff, especially if you live in an area where it's mostly black people and mostly Latino and black people. As a whole, we need to come together and start putting our resources to where they need to go. Like, let's go here, let's vote, let's make sure we're registered. When your kid turns 18, make sure they register. Make sure your friends and family who, you know, are older and haven't ever voted and they want to vote and they don't know how to. Like, if you're informed, try to inform them. If you're not informed, take them with you to go get informed so that you can vote. And you could get a lot of these things that are going on wouldn't be happening if we paid attention and we actually tried to participate in the American process. You know what I'm saying? Think about it like this. They have executive orders in place from the president that he can shut down and control everything at one point in time if he feels as though he needs to for the security of the country. Now, at that point, once we get to that point of you have complete control over the whole food, education, prisons, who goes to jail, who doesn't go to jail. These are executive orders that exist. You can look them up online. You could go to the, if you're in DC area or if you're near the library, it's library article facts that show this. This is not me lying. This is factual. You can back me up. You can go and check yourself. I'm not going to do it for you because this is the part of research that you need to do. If you're listening, expand your research. Always look for more outlets and make sure they are credible sources. Look at it's books on this where executive orders that take place where the government can take over the nation. That includes Commonwealth states as well. So if you live in PA, you're not exempt. Kentucky, you're not exempt, because this is an agreement that your constituents way back when allowed to happen. Now, I say that because if you have somebody in the office that's very shaky, like mentally, they're not as stable because they don't think logically or thoroughly through when they say certain things, then you have to be aware of the control and the power they have in order to subside some of that power and control by using your right to vote to get the right people in the office who you think will provide the best, I want to say the best ability to show that they believe in what you believe in, basically. So if I support you as a candidate for whatever, judge, county clerk or mayor or senator, councilman, aide to the council, whatever I can vote on to make sure that, you know, you get on and you do what you do. If I support you in that way, I would hope that you would only be able to give me the benefit of the doubt and do what was right for the majority of the people that support you. You know what I'm saying? Just always try to look out. That's what we can hold people accountable for when we vote. When we don't vote, we don't have that right. You know why? Because it's not afforded to us. We didn't invest anything in these people, so they don't owe us anything. If we invested time and support into them and help them get elected, they are going to do for you. That's why you think when like things like this, tragic things happen in Jewish communities are very important to a lot of people outside of the Jewish community, because Jewish communities not only are good for challah bread and things like that. It's financial institutions that rely on Jewish lawyers, Jewish accountants, and things of that nature. Not saying that's the only reason, but this is why they get the backing and the following they do. Spanish people, Latinos, whatever you want to call the ethnicity as a whole, with the whole caravan coming to America thing, and illegal immigrants is all over the place about that. I understand this. As much as we hate the gangs that came to America, MS-13, the Latin Kings, and all that produced out of the Latin community, not hate, I want to say we dislike what they do to communities, whether it's white, black, Spanish, whatever. You still have, that's going to be there regardless whether you take those people out. It's always going to be a seed planted somewhere that causes tragic things to happen to people. Unfortunately, that's just the way, life is. It's always going to be challenges to the good. It's no good without evil. You know what I'm saying? But in a way, everybody is not like that. So all black people ain't gangbangers. All white people are not KKK members. All Spanish people are not MS-13 and Latin Kings, drug dealers, murderers, whatever you want to call them. Everybody doesn't fall into that category because of their nationality. But what we do is, whenever a white crime is committed, and when I say a white crime, a white terrorist crime is committed, we are more committed to the fact that, okay, it's not that bad. You know what I mean? They sugarcoated a lot in the media, like, oh, this person was disturbed and their mind wasn't settled properly. But when it's a Spanish person that's convicted of a murder or mass murder or crime, that, oh, they're savages, they're or even black, and it's for black people. I mean, when you have that kind of narcissistic behavior going on coming from a certain group of people, you have to say things to be politically correct in the media, I see. So you don't want white people to fear each other, but everybody fears the people they are close in proximity to. I live in a neighborhood that people consider the hood, and when you go outside, it's certain people you look at and you like, bruh, I know you're gonna try me, bruh. Don't try me. Keep it moving. The same way, you have white people that live in certain neighborhoods, and they probably wouldn't go to the other side of the tracks of the neighborhood, whereas other white people who might live a little bit less fortunate than them because they're afraid of them, and they don't talk about it because it's not something that you talk about. It's politically incorrect to talk like that, but these things happen and they don't talk about them. Just like if 2 black people got killed in a supermarket in Kentucky, nobody really talked about it. If it wasn't for the internet, we probably wouldn't know about it. 2 black people got killed by a white guy, and he said that he told the white people he wasn't going to shoot them, that he doesn't kill white people. White people don't kill white people, which is incorrect, of course. But you see that the behavior is countered by the rhetoric that is being spit consistently since Trump been in office. Trump allowed these white people, these young white men who feel disenfranchised, and some of these white women who feel disenfranchised, to have a voice now. They have a reason to speak. They want to talk. They want to tell everybody their problems. They want to tell everybody how they're being moved out because you have you're giving all these rights to black men and black women and gays and all this other stuff. But honestly, black people, we've been doing the same thing we've been doing for years and years now. It's getting a little bit better here and there. More so black women than black men. And then on top of that, you add that on top of the disparity between salaries and living conditions and healthcare that happen in the black community. White people need to stop acting like we have anything against them at this point. Like, we are against all odds every time. Why I say that? Because you have situations like the AACE, and he's the Asian American Coalition Education Community. This is an organization that they're suing schools like colleges like Harvard and other prominent colleges that are Ivy League for affirmative action, because they feel like they're being misrepresented through the educational benefits of going to Harvard, because they're not able to get into these schools at a high rate. Granted, that's all good, whatever. They try to blame black people all the time for these things, Asian Americans. which is crazy to me because one of the guys who represents the Asian American Coalition Education Organization, he said they made a movie about a killer in the bee, and basically it should have been about an Asian person and not a black person, which is so stupid because the conversation is, listen, Asian people want to, if they want to have Asian people, we mean like from the peninsula of Asia, not just Asian, like we're not just talking about Chinese or Japanese or Indonesian people. We're talking about Indian people from India, yes, Indonesians, everybody from that peninsula area of Asia, the continent of Asia, basically, who consider themselves Asian Americans. Some of them feel as though affirmative action is only helping black people, which is never true. Affirmative action has only helped white women for the most part throughout its entirety, and if you look at the numbers of any of these universities, black people the rate has not gone too high, whereas Asian Americans, you can see a clear up in the standard of where they get accepted into these colleges. And once again, I'm okay with that. Everybody always say, oh, well, I don't care about the whole inclusive thing. I think black people should go to HBCUs and be great, because the more we invest in our HBCUs and the more we stop letting, and they're going to say this is racist, of course. I'm always considered racist, but I'm being honest. If it's a historical black college or university, I don't think you need a white person to be the chairman or the president of your college, because it's a historical black college. We should be empowering our black people. Just like if you want to say, oh well, if you go to certain colleges in America, the athletic director is black or the president is black or whatever the case may be, yeah, that's cool or whatever. But I wouldn't say I was one of those people that wanted that. I was okay with the way it is. Like, hey, we do our thing on our side, y'all do your thing on y'all side. We can come to the table and have a conversation. As long as we're able to have a conversation at the table and we all can be inclusive and sit down and have a conversation, that's really all that matters to me. Because the thing is about it is, like, Trump always blames the media for pushing his whole race agenda, which is true. That's partly true. But on top of that, he adds to it because he gives people stuff to talk about. If it's not on the news, you're at these rallies talking to these white people who they feel concerned because they don't have any factory jobs anymore, because Bill Clinton allowed outsourcing to happen and occur. So did Bush. And just like with the whole Saudi Arabia thing, this man gets killed in Saudi Arabia who's an American journalist but Saudi Arabian descent, and Trump is like, oh, I don't want to do anything to them, let them handle it what they want to handle, because we got a $1 billion deal with them for arms and guns and all type of military defense shit. And on top of that, they invested $30 billion in our companies. Like Uber has $3.5 billion of Saudi Arabian money went into Uber as an investment. It's a lot of companies in America that get investments from Saudi Arabia, so we can't step on their foot about anything because it wouldn't be fair. Then they're private in a country like Yemen, which is right under Saudi Arabia in the Middle East, and what America does is, as a whole, the defense, whoever you want to call it, in the White House, who helps maneuver and use defensive mechanisms. I think it's it's not the Secretary of State, but it's the military defense team. They using Saudi Arabia like, hey, we support you, you support us, and we could go at Iran for however long we want until we get them. So y'all can fuck up Yemen because we don't give a fuck about Yemen, because at the end of the day we're just trying to get to Iran. So you put all that into effect. Now watch how I switch this on you and throw the race back in there again. They allowed this to happen, and and Saudi Arabia gets whatever to do whatever they want, just so they could, at the end result, get at Iran and keep Iran at bay, which is okay, which is good. But the funny thing is, Saudi Arabia allows terrorists to get passports to come into America and create these terrorist attacks. That's outside of the white terrorism that's going on in America as is. Now, that's a lot to take in, but you got to take it in. You can rewind this back and take it in and breathe a few times if you have to. But that's a lot to take in. Now, people seeing this, seeing these numbers go across their screen and reading all these articles about this backlog of Saudi Arabia investments in America, but Saudi Arabia also allowing, and it's not all of Saudi Arabia, it's just a certain group of, it's one family, a Saudi family, and they have so much power and control in the country. They're worth trillions of dollars, this family, and they run Saudi Arabia and they do what they do, but they are everything that we're allowing them to do is also costing us. So at the end of the day, you're killing you're trying to do something to better yourself, but also killing yourself at the same time. So when Trump is in these little rallies, he's not telling people the fact that, hey, all this could have been avoided if we didn't put jobs over there. All this could have been avoided if we allow them to invest, but while they investing, we also helping our people as well. So you go to these little cities and little towns where it's, these rural towns, and white people are so enraged because they don't have jobs anymore, and you blame the black people, you blame the Jews, you blame everybody but themselves, when you could say, hey, we should have left these factories open, we should have did our own thing, we shouldn't allow technology to do so much for us, and that's where we become handicapped, which is true. In America, you still have jobs. Like, nobody wants to be an electrician anymore. Nobody wants to be a plumber anymore. Nobody wants to be a construction worker anymore. Nobody wants to do hard labor jobs. Everybody wants to just sit at a desk all day and get paid. And that's stupid to a degree, because there's warehouse jobs out here in certain cities that you might have to move to live there, and it's expensive to live there a little bit. So the inflation is what's causing the issue. Nobody talks about that, though. They have a lot of jobs at airports, at warehouses, at construction, any type of manual labor you could think of. They have those jobs. People don't want those jobs. People don't want to get into that type of field, and that's okay, because technology has made us lazy. Technology is the best and worst thing that happened to human society, human civilization, in probably thousands of years. Probably the worst thing ever, more than likely, besides our own destruction of the land that we live on and the land that we use. You know what I'm saying? The way we misuse the land. We don't recycle. We don't try to, create less garbage. Like, it's so much that we don't do that is killing us before we even get to the technology portion. Then we get to technology, is making it worse because we're lazy, and with that comes even more discouraging things, because now not only are we lazy, there's no jobs available because we're lazy, but we're allowing ourselves to fall off track and not pay attention to things that are right in front of us, because we have too many distractions with these social media sites and having 24 access to TV and all that stuff like that. Like, before, you used to take a ride in the car and you would just have to listen to the radio or talk to the family. Now everybody got the iPad, the phones, they're not even listening. You know what I mean? And I'm guilty of it too, because I get on YouTube and Netflix all day. I'm on YouTube and Netflix and I watch my videos and stuff like that when I feel like it. But I still take time out to play with my daughter, have face-to-face conversation with her, play with her, bug out with her, before I just give her her iPad. Her tablet, and let her watch a video, or give her my phone and let her watch videos or whatever. I try to have that interaction time so she can have communication with me, even though she's only one. She still needs to know how it is to have a regular conversation outside of the technology. Now, after me stop throwing, rage against the machines with technology, it's just me being honest about the situation. Kids grow up nowadays, they, like, even with music, that's supposed to be self-expression, you got beat machines, so people don't even know how to really play drums. Kids don't really know how to play drums no more. Kids don't know how to pick up a guitar, a violin, things that make you, you have to do manually with your hands, and, like arts and craft, like the only thing that arts and crafts do, like, kids, they'd rather go on a computer, paint a picture than sit down and actually paint. And that's weird. Like, we need to desensitize our kids from technology and get back to the root of things, because that's where you learn. That's where you learn all the crafty things you know how to do in life. You know what I mean? You get stuck in a bad situation, you think about a time like, oh, I remember when we couldn't get this screw to screw in a door and fix the door hinges, and now, oh, I could just go here, do this, that, and the third, get this screw, and kind of, construct it to a way to allow it to hold the door up until we're able to go to the store and get screws. You know what I'm saying? Like, the ingenuity and self-creation that comes from expressing yourself through your hands, and thinking process of using your hands and which way to use your hands, whether it's using the violin, oh, this note has to be played a certain way, I have to put my fingers on this chord a certain way for this sound to come out properly. That takes a lot of thought and concentration. If you're playing the piano, the keys, you have to play the keys in a certain tone to get the certain note. That's another one. Now, you see all this culminating together. You know what I mean? It's deeper than just us just having a conversation about, race. Race is not the problem at hand for why you don't have a job. It's far more drastic measures than that before you even get to race. And then race in America has always been a problem, but it's worse now than ever. You know what I mean? You had the girl, what's her name, Megyn Kelly. She's going to talk about blackface and how blackface is old. That's not even relevant anymore. And blackface will always be relevant because it's part of history. And once again, black people being told to suppress their history. Let's stop talking about this stuff that happened years and years ago, because it doesn't mean anything now. But if you look on TV all the time, you look on the History Channel, they talk about World War One. They still talking about the Civil War. They do all these things and documentaries on all this stuff about stuff that happened in the past, and yet black people are told to forget about their past. Doesn't make sense. You cannot grow if you don't reflect. In the same way, we need to reflect on our past of being discriminated against as black people. America needs to look back on its past and think about all the times that we failed as a society and as a country to allow this racial disparity to get in the way of us making money and being more prosperous. That's what people don't get. You know what I mean? It's deeper than just rap. You know what I'm saying? It's deeper than rap. That's what I always say when I get frustrated with certain things that people don't want to have a conversation about. It's deeper than rap. We can't just sit here and talk about who's your favorite rapper, because everybody's gonna have a different opinion. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's gonna have a different opinion and a different perspective on why this person is their favorite rapper, and we can't go against that. That's your opinion. So it's deeper than rap. You know what I'm saying? It's deeper than just wordplay. It's deeper than me just talking to you and saying big words and trying to confuse you, when I could just keep it honest and 100% with you and say, look, yes, there's a problem in America. Racism is still a problem in America. Black people are still disenfranchised. Spanish people are disenfranchised. And one day we will be the majority. Not the majority in the sense of like, oh, we're going to outrank everybody. But I'm saying we're going to be the majority in population as far as we're mixing in. Black men being killed, meaning black women are single, meaning white young men who are looking to pursue women. They're going to eventually cross the line and say, hey, we have stuff in common, let's have kids. And now you're going to have a whole line of mixed race people. At one point in America, there's going to be a lot of mixed race people. And a lot of mixed race people are going to come from a lot of different backgrounds, whether it's super rich or super poor. It's going to be a majority of mixed people from different cultures and different races that are going to make up America. And hopefully when we get there, it's not that racial thing still. We have an understanding, the context is there, the history is there, we're allowed to talk about it, move on, and prosper. There's no prosperity here. And people who don't know what blackface is when people, mostly white people used to do this, but some black people did it too. They get the heavy dark paint on their faces, black paint, not black paint, but black face paint, and they put it on, and heavy and thick, and then they do Sambo and different characters from the 1800s and early 1900s, where they depicted black people in a derogatory way through acting. And this was an art form all the way up until like the 1920s and 30s. And a lot of great actors in American society back then took part in it too. You had Bing Cosby, Judy Garland. Judy Garland was the girl who played in The Wizard of Oz, that played Dorothy. If people don't know who Judy Garland is, I'm pretty sure Bing Cosby, people probably know him if you got old grandparents. He was like a comedian, actor, a variety type of artist back then. Well, variety actor, I should say. He was on a lot of shows and movies. So, people don't think about it like that. And then then white people bring up white chicks, like, oh, white chicks, Shawn and Marlon did the white face and this, that, and the third. Right. They did in a movie. One time. Wow. That hurt you. But they weren't being derogatory. They were acting like how the girls act in real life. Like, they weren't being derogatory and saying, oh, this is all we do and this is all we got. No, they were playing back. They were playing in disguise. One time, black people did get offended when Gene Wilder played put on blackface or brownface, if you want to call it, in a movie with Richard Pryor. People were offended in those times, but the movie in context, when you watch the movie, you're like, it's comedy, it's whatever. It wasn't that bad. He didn't misrepresent us in a way that would make you be like, wow, I would never watch another Gene Wilder movie. Because if that's the case, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory wouldn't be one of the most most replayed movies of all time on TV. And that's just factual. It's all within the context of what you say things and do things. White people, it's black people that dress up as Marilyn Monroe, black women, or black gay dudes, no disrespect, but that's what it is. And they don't put on white paint on their face. They don't put a whole bunch of makeup on. They just dress up and get the little white dress that she wore that one time, and they say they Marilyn Monroe. That's it. And why white people can't do that? Just you want to be Malcolm X, put some glasses on and walk around with the bow tie on, and have your nice little Quran, and that's cool. That's whatever. Do what you do. You want to be Muhammad Ali? Dress up like Muhammad Ali. Put the Ali on your shorts and the boxing gloves. You don't have to put on blackface to do that. You can imitate somebody and be appreciative, or you can imitate somebody and be derogatory. It's two separate levels. Once again, this is America. You are allowed to do what you want to do. You can say what you want to say, but understand there are consequences and repercussions for your actions. We say this every episode because it's necessary. I'm not giving you the license to do whatever you want. I'm just telling you there's the freedoms that are allowed to you in this country, and if you choose to use those laws to express yourself, do what you do. Just understand that the repercussions will be right behind it. And that's all I'm saying about that. That's just real life. That's what it is. Slow poke it, fast draw it, whatever. But that's what I'm saying. It's too much. We give Trump too much praise in this time and day. Social media, media outlets, in every way, shape, or form, on every platform, they do it. We gotta stop giving him so much energy. But it's like, and it's just like the Kanye thing, like, oh, black people, we giving Kanye too much energy. Let me break it down for y'all how Kanye is. If y'all really think he's still in this whole disdain state of mind of not knowing anything and he's delusional, he's not delusional. He's being Kanye. That's Kanye being Kanye. He always will be Kanye. Sometimes it's like that little brother who always going to be annoying. That's just who he is. He's never going to change. He wants to be in the spotlight. That's why he's here. That's why Kanye is here. He wants to be in the spotlight. If you tell your wife to turn down $1 million so that the focus can still be on you, then that's when you have an identity issue. That's when you want to be, not an identity issue, but you have a self-control issue where you want to just be the main topic of the situation. That's dumb. You know what I'm saying? Like, Kanye does this. He went to they like, oh, well, you gotta praise him because without him, Trump wouldn't be thinking about fixing up these issues with the jail system and things like that. You're right. Probably right about that. Cool. We can understand that. Definitely. Wholeheartedly. He may have played a part in that. Cool. I guess. I'm putting up the quotation hands. Cool. Yeah. But at the end of the day, Kanye didn't do that for us. He did that because that's what he wanted to do. He did that on his own merit because he knew that if I go over there and talk to Trump, I'm gonna be on every radio, I'm gonna be on every news station, every radio station gonna talk about me. Social media gonna blow up and talk about me. People gonna go listen to my music who never listened to my music before. And if I lose a few fans who are diehard Kanye fans, that's cool too. It is what it is. They'll come back eventually. They'll forgive me because black people will always forgive. That's what we do best. We the most forgiving people in the world. That's why we ain't got shit. And that's just me being honest. And if you get upset, it is what it is. If you don't like me, that's cool. I can understand that. But it's real talk. It's what it is. Kanye is selfish. Point blank, when it comes to being the celebrity. That's why he's okay with being outliered as the bad guy to black people. But honestly, it's okay, Kanye. I know you, bro. I know how you living. Because I've studied you for so long. You've always wanted that attention. You always garnered to be the main source. You know what I'm saying? You were cocky at your highest point, and you're gonna always be cocky. You said it in the song. If you even you said it in Gold Digger. Get it. The whole song was you talking about, oh, get down, girl, go ahead, get down, and you know what I mean, doing your thing, you know what I mean, with all these different shorties, because you trying to be the man in these streets, and you said it. talking to the black women in the society. When he get on, he leave your ass for a white girl. And Kim is what, Armenian or whatever. She the close. She's still close to white because that's what she was trying to predict. Well, that's what she was trying to put out there when she was rolling with Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie and them. So yeah, you got on and you left your black girl and the black girls in that you were messing with for Kim Kardashian, who is the closest thing to your version of a white girl. That's cool, bro. You did exactly what you said you was gonna do. Nobody's not mad at you for that. If you really listened to Kanye, you knew the inevitable was coming. You saw it coming. It's like a car accident. When you driving and you see a car accident about to happen, you like, dang, there you go. I told you it was coming. My nigga told you. In the front seat. That's why I'm driving in the front seat. I told you they was going to hit each other. Told you. You never pandered. Well, you never pandered to Kanye except when he was emotional during, his mother's passing and things like that. That was an understandable time to be there for Kanye. He was very seldom in his time after that happened. But we can't keep using that as an excuse for why he is the way he is and why he's wilding. When you have a mental health issue, it's different. I don't think that boy got a mental health issue. Once again, I'm not an expert, but I'm just keeping it real with you. And there's facts out there that tell you that the drugs that he was taking was for sleeping, not for bipolar, I don't want to say bipolarism. I'll get the right word play for that later on. But for his bipolar disorder. Now, you put that all into effect. All the things that he did, Jim Brown going up there with him, and Jim Brown realizing, like, shit, I shouldn't have been here. I'm wilding. As a black person who looks up to a lot of different, I'm a cultural person. I look at a lot of different cultures, a lot of different people. I listen to everything as far as, like, when it comes to comedy. I don't have, like, I'm just going to listen to black comedians because I'm so pro-black. I listen to everybody because everybody's perspective is different. And you have to get those perspectives from each side so you can know what you're going against. Always, if you're going to pick an enemy, know your enemy. You know what I mean? Know your enemy's in and outs. Know your enemy better than you know your family and friends is what I was always taught. But we don't pay attention to that. We let people narrate to us what to look at and what not to look at when you need to analyze a person as a whole. If you hate something or you dislike something, you have to know that in and out, why you hate it and why you dislike it. When you ask a white person, like white people who don't like black people, when you ask them why they don't like black people, most of their stuff is it's centralized to things that they've seen on TV or they've seen from afar, and maybe one or two interactions with a person. I've had many interactions with white people. I don't dislike all of them. I just dislike the ones who fake like they like us and they really don't. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't like me, just don't like me. Don't say, I don't like you because, your people don't take advantage of the situations and you guys this and you guys that and you guys have so many opportunities that you don't use when you don't understand the circumstances and situations that we're in. And this is what it is. White people, Asian people, some Jewish people. I'm not even say some Jewish people too. It's a fluctuation that happens when it comes to being black. When you being black, you're supposed to forget about all this, forget about all that. You're not supposed to be, you're basically supposed to be grateful that you're here. Grateful that you're here. Why should I be grateful that I'm here? Because you're in your country, you don't have shit. Well, if I was in my country, whatever country I came from, if we all was stuck in Africa, not stuck, but taken back to Africa just because that's where we're supposed to be rooted from in our certain sectors and areas, and left alone to do whatever we needed to do with, let's say, reparations. That, like, hey, here's your $1 billion in your countries, y'all go do what y'all do. Now, you give us that money, we go back to our countries, most of us are going to go spend it, do whatever, keep it moving. But a nice little percentage of us will take that money, invest it in ourselves, start companies, start whether it's technology or construction or agricultural companies to cultivate the land and do what we do best. You would see a vast different perspective, but we don't get afforded that. We don't get afforded that access. So now you look at the Asian community, whether it's Indian or Indonesian or Japanese or Chinese even. When they come to America, they feel disadvantaged already. But most of them came here. What did they do when they got here? They got stores, nail salons, liquor stores, certain communities, they have gun stores, they grocery stores, they convenience stores, whatever else we want to put into that category. They got into that. Most of them, when they got here, that's what they did. Boom, we're going to set this platform, we're going to get this money. How did you get that and obtain that money to get these stores and invest in your own business? This was given to you by a loan. Why were you given a loan? Because you're not from here, and we just want to help you out and make sure that when you feel welcomed here. Basically, is how it went. Because it was black people that was here. We had our own stores for a small degree of time, and then of course, when Asian people came here, it started to switch over a little bit. Now, and it always has been like that, and that's just being honest. Oh, dry cleaners too. Just looked at the Jeffersons, thought about that. Dry cleaners too is one of the avenues that they went down. Now, Asian people, for the longest amount of time since they've been here, when they were discouraged again, they got money back. Most of them got money back for being discouraged against. World War One is a factor of that. After World War One was over, they were given money. Later on down the line, they were allowed to get more loans to invest in their communities. They were given certain areas to be established as their communities. You know what I'm saying? I see you could go to Jersey City as one of the primary places where you can go, and there's actually an area in the section in Jersey City, New Jersey, for people that's not from New Jersey and don't know. Jersey City, New Jersey, certain sections in Jersey City where they're considered just for that culture and community. You have the Indian Hill, you have they have a little place for the Irish people where the pubs are, and then it's downtown is now mostly it's not multicultural. I would say it's more driven towards the white Americans who make a large amount of money in Manhattan and don't want to live in Manhattan, so they move to Jersey City and Hoboken. But now you see where I'm coming from. As black people, the only thing we were ever given was the hood. Point blank period. When we got out of slavery, the slums is what we was given. The ghetto, as they call it. The hood, that's what we was given. We were given that land, and we were put into spaces of, all right, you can have this land, but you're going to be mushed up together. You're not going to have that much space, and we're going to put in enough distractions. We're not going to give you good education. We're not going to give you we're not going to give you good education. We're not going to give you any advantages whatsoever. We're going to make you work for this because you guys are resourceful. You'll figure it out. Every other people, mostly every other nationality that came into this country was given an advantage at some point in time. When Africans started to come over to America, a lot of them were given visas and working visas or student visas to go to school here, build up, and then once they started living here long enough, they filed for citizenship. And with that citizenship, the money they were making, these are Africans who don't relate to Americans whatsoever, African Americans I should say, and they took their money, sent it back to their country, brought their families back over here, got more education, built up, they go back to their countries, do what they do. Some of them stay here and keep building on the wealth. It happens. Same thing with Asians. Once they got their money, they would send their money back, build on it, send our kids to school, and it went. I'm not saying that it worked out for everybody. Everybody who's Asian is not rich. Everybody who's Asian is not well off to where they could take off tomorrow and for 3 weeks and not have to worry about a bill. But I'm just giving you the facts. These are things you can look up and you can check yourself. Jewish people, they had it hard for a while. The Holocaust was over. The German Jewish people were given land in Africa. They came here to America. Most of them were given more areas in America to consider their own set of land to a degree. Same thing with Asians, right or wrong. So you have a Chinatown in most of these majority of these major cities. You have Chinatown. You have areas where they say this is for like Indian people, India. This is like Little India. You have Little Italy in a lot of these big towns. Italians, for whatever reason, they were given. Well, because of the mafia, basically, they were given. I'm not gonna say for whatever reason. The mafia played a big part in that because the government went against the mafia for so long that they had to somehow, some way repay the Italian families for allowing these I want to say not allow, but more for like a payment, basically. A payment. Like, hey, here, you can have this little set of land, little Italy, little whatever. That's you. Do what you do with that. If it goes down, it goes down. That's your business. Y'all do what y'all got to do, though. Now, after all that goes down, you're looking at all these different, and the Irish people, I know Irish people gonna come talking crazy like, oh, well, we were slaves when we came here too. You were slaves, and then you were given an advantage because the white man realized, the majority European white man realized, hey, okay, I can't allow these people to be with these people because then they're going to come together. When they come together, they're going to go against me. And this is why I laugh at people who say, oh, you black people been here forever and ever. And you can be somewhere forever and ever. You could be somewhere your whole entire life and not realize you're disadvantaged until you see other people come in where you are and they're given opportunities that you weren't given. When we established our own HBCUs and things of that nature, our higher education systems, we were not given the resources to do that. You know, we had got investors on our own. You know, we had to work with certain people just to get to certain places. It's always going to be like that for black people. And if white people who feel offended by what I'm saying, because some white people might listen to this and be like, oh, you're so racist. I'm not being racist. I'm just being factual. None of this that I'm saying, I'm not pointing aim at all white people. I'm just saying the white people that were in charge, who you elected or you allowed to do whatever, make up these rules and regulations, they did so in a way that it was discouraging and made sure that we as black people weren't able to do certain things without getting their approval, basically. And that's just me being factual and being real. You can look up bringing up the Saudi Arabia thing. If you get stationed in Saudi Arabia in the military, and it's they give you a pamphlet. In the pamphlet itself, this pamphlet was ratified, meaning edited, in June 2018. It is October 2018. So let's say less than 6 months ago, they gave out this, they re-edited it and still was giving out this pamphlet in July of 2018. In the pamphlet, it says the Saudi Arabian people are and of Negro blood. Basically giving you a history of the people that you're about to be in touch with. The indigenous people of Saudi Arabia have Negro blood in them, basically, is what they were saying. So if the government military is still using the word Negro, the government itself is still using the word Negro in 2018, a term that was given way back in yesteryear America, what makes you think that racism is still not a problem in America? I pause on that because you just gotta let that sink in. So white people who think that this is just a made up story, black people are just always want to be victimized, they always want to be on CNN and they want to cry that they're being discouraged against, and they have so much freedom now. You're right, we do have a lot of freedoms now, but they're still infringed upon. You go to states like Michigan. Michigan has basically volunteer unpaid police officers, right? One of the police officers that they had volunteered with them and paid for training and all that, this dude's not really a cop, he's just given a badge and a gun. He was on probation, and of course he was white. You ain't letting no black man on probation get away with having a gun. But a part of his probation was he wasn't supposed to have a gun. He had a gun anyway. He got locked up, went to jail, as he should. Just makes sense to me. If it doesn't make sense to you, don't know what to tell you. Another dude that was on that police force, and this is all in Michigan. They allowed us in Michigan at this one point in time. I don't think they still do now. This is a story that was published on MSN News about 2 days ago. So if you want to look it up, you go on MSN News and look for The Cop. Is the title of it is, matter of fact, it's Detroit Free Press. So Detroit Free Press, you can look up Detroit Free Press online as well. And the title of it is They Look Like Cops, But They Are Not. And they're all over Michigan. Now this is the state of Michigan that we're talking about here. So you got one cop who volunteered, who was on parole. He's not supposed to have a gun. He got a gun and a fake badge. It's not a real badge because you're a volunteer. So technically you don't have no authority. You're just making citizens arrests. You had another guy. I'm not saying that their names because I don't want to hold nothing against them or their families. That's not my place to do that. But you got another person, and this is mostly like outside of Detroit area that they're patrolling, of course, naturally, because you know Detroit is a heavily African American populated city in America. One of the cops had ties to white supremacy, which is nothing too new, but You know, think about that. You allowing these white cops to have access to guns who are known to be white supremacists and felons. Where does that make sense at? No sense whatsoever. That's like you say that, and white people who don't understand the context of what I'm saying, who might think I'm just being extra. That's like saying you're gonna give a gun to a gangbanger from the hood and a Black Panther. And y'all can take that and soil that however y'all want to soil it. But that's what I'm saying. You know, it's crazy to me how people in America who just realize, let's stop talking about race. Let's stop talking about race. Let's stop talking about cancer. And let's stop talking about AIDS. Let's stop talking about herpes. Let's stop talking about diabetes. Let's stop talking about heart disease. Let's stop talking about what else? Drug use. Let's stop talking about global warming. Let's stop talking about everything that causes us to be uncomfortable and see if it'll go away. It won't. People still gonna die from cancer. People still gonna die from AIDS. People's lives are gonna still be affected by herpes, diabetes. People are gonna still be affected by these issues, whether you talk about them or not. Not talking about something does not give us the license to forget about it. This is the stupidest way to solve something, is to say, let's not talk about it. You never would have known what's 1 + 1 if somebody would have said, man, let's not worry about adding up something. Let's just say it's something and keep it moving. You wouldn't be able to add your checkup. You wouldn't have a check. We'd still be in the times of no checks and bartering, trading goods without monetary value. So I understand that just because you don't want to talk about something doesn't mean it makes you uncomfortable. Doesn't mean that it's okay and that it's forgotten and that it's gonna solve itself. You have to talk about it one way or another. You married, you at home, you having issues. You can't say, I don't want to talk about this. It makes me uncomfortable. Well, you ain't never gonna talk about it. And y'all just gonna be married with all these issues and not care, the effect that it has on your family, and not just your kids, but your family as a whole together. So, yeah, I mean, just like I said, you gotta talk about things. You gotta talk about it. White, black, indifferent. It is what it is. Funny comment of the week. Mike Gundy, he's a coach at Oklahoma State University, football coach. He got on there after they beat Texas on Saturday night. He got on the mic, like all coaches do after the game. Goes to the press meeting, and one of the guys asked him, what do you care about what's your opinion on the views from Twitter about your quarterback, not being good enough to play or whatever the case may be. He was like, I don't give a shit about. No, he said, let me quote him directly so I could get this right properly. Let me see here. Let me see if we can play this back. I think I could play it back.
A lot of criticism of Taylor. How vital was it to you that he gets off to a good start in this game?
Criticism where? From where?
Outside noise.
From where?
Twitter, radio.
Yeah. Oh, I'd give a rat's ass about Twitter.
And that's the direct quote from Mike Gundy. He doesn't give a rat ass about Twitter, and he made the fart noise. Now, that's good and bad, because I'm with him wholeheartedly on that one. Sometimes criticism is just motherfuckers who don't know what they talking about talking shit. That's just being honest, and I'm okay with that. It's some people that don't know shit about shit, and they just be talking, and it's like, oh, because you have an opinion, and I like your opinion because I don't like the person. I will agree with you, buddy. And sometimes you just gotta put the fart noise on them, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect your situation. You know what I'm saying? He's a coach. He gets paid millions of dollars a year to play and win games. And he's been doing so for quite a long time now. Why should he give a shit about what you talking about? Because you sitting at home and you ain't got nothing to do. Which he said in the quote, he said, people who talk about him on Twitter probably don't got jobs and they got nothing to do. I mean, a lot of people probably feel like that. In a lot of situations, I agree with them wholeheartedly. Hey, you might not know nothing about football. You probably never played football. You never been around coaching. You probably never coached in your life. Don't tell that man what to do. You don't know his job. But some people who need that Twitter criticism, Black Twitter will tell you. Some people need that critique. Like, this situation panned out for him the right way, where he's afforded to say that he was right. You know what I'm saying? His quarterback won the game for him. That's all that matters. They lose next week, nobody cares, because they beat the team that they were supposed to beat. That's all that matters. It never tell you about something with social media criticism. Social media criticism only works if you are not winning. If you are winning, nobody cares. They ignore you, and it is what it is. Just like with life. Lil Duval, social media. I'm gonna say social media savant, because he was throwing out videos on social media as far as like skits and stuff way back in MySpace days. So he's always been that guy for that. But Lil Duval, he gets on Instagram sometimes and Snapchat, and he says stuff like, "Oh yeah, I'll never believe somebody who don't got no money. Like, how you gonna give me advice, and you don't have anything to back up your advice?" Some people might look at that and be like, "Yeah, you're totally right." Some people might look at it and be like, "That's wrong." But it's true to me, because it could go either way. If, like I said, when you're winning, people are gonna listen to you. If Oprah came out right now and was like, "Listen, everybody needs to save $10 a month," everybody who follows her would save $10 a month wholeheartedly. Wouldn't think twice about it. Why? Because she's a billionaire. I'm gonna listen to you because you're winning. If a man on the street who was a bum told you, who you consider a hobo or a bum, whatever case you want to call him, and he walked up to you and said, "Hey, I don't want any money, just a piece of advice to you so you don't end up in my situation. Save $10 a month." People are going to be like, "I'm not listening to this motherfucker. Saving $10 a month probably what got him here. He probably used that $10 a month that he was saving and went to Vegas and lost all his money." Whatever the case may be, they will make an excuse because he's not winning. So I'm not going to listen to this person because you're not winning. Like they always say, you don't care about who came in last place or second place. They always talk about who came in first place. And that's the same thing with advice. You're not going to listen to somebody who came in second, third, or last place. You want to listen to the person that came in first place, the winner. But honestly, you get lessons from both sides. Somebody who lost and somebody who won. Because in order to lose, you had to have played the game. You played the game at some point in time. You had to. You ain't making this shit up just to make it up. You giving a lesson of something that you experienced in some way, shape, or form. Might not have been somebody could be like, "Hey man, you go to Atlantic City, you go to Las Vegas. If you winning and you up, $200-$300, step off for a second." You're going to be like, "My nigga, you a regular person. Why am I listening to you? You might gamble more than me, but I'm not listening to that." And then there's somebody who, world poker champion. He done won thousands and thousands of dollars. He got belts all over, chains all over of him, his defeats of who he beat and all that. And he says, "Hey, man, make sure when you up, $200-$300 on them, you take a little break from that table because they're going to make it hot." You're going to listen. Why? Because that person won. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna listen to somebody who don't have a physics science degree or neuroscience degree or astrological degree. Not astrological, I'm sorry. What's one of the degrees? Aerospace engineering degree. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna listen to anybody outside of those type of people when it comes to things like medicine, space, time, travel, things like that. But just because you're educated to that degree by, let's say, that piece of paper is telling you, "Hey, this person is qualified and they know what they're talking about," doesn't necessarily mean what they're talking about. People get history degrees. That don't mean they're the greatest person to go to for the knowledge of history. Some things you have to experience in order to get knowledge of it. There's people who I know, they went to college and didn't graduate, but they can tell you a whole lot about how to survive college. For whatever reason, they didn't finish. And you got people who went to college and it's all a blur to them. Like, "Hey, man, I just went to school and that's it. I don't know nothing else. I went to school, I paid a little bit of attention here and there, got through what I got through, and I'm here now. That's all that matters." It's funny. We throw shade at a lot of things that we shouldn't. But we can't help it. We were bred that way. We were taught that way. Everything in our mental was focused on, hey, if you don't do this and you don't do that, you're not considered smart. In order to listen to somebody, the winners have to. In order to listen to anybody who, is successful, don't listen to anybody who's not successful. That's why when you see a bum on the street, you walk over him. Sesame Street taught you that with the Oscar the Grouch, Dave Chappelle reference. It's real talk. When you grow up watching Sesame Street, watching all these shows, the mean person, we don't talk to that person. We don't deal with them. You're bad. We never ask them why they're that way. What happened to you, bro? Why are you so angry, Oscar? Live in a garbage can. I'd be mad too. The villain. Why you mad, villain? Because I never get recognition for anything I do. So I'm going to be evil because that's the only way I get recognition. Hey, that could have been avoided. And the same thing goes with Trump. He won and he acting like he still ain't won. He's pandering to people like he never won. And the only people that listen to him is people that feel disenfranchised, the people that feel affected all the time. And like I said, one day we're going to get to that point where, the real it's going to come out one way or another. You got to take the good with the bad and keep it moving. We got to sit down and have these conversations. We got to come to the table. We could be separate and still be equal. You know what I mean? We could be together and be together. But we still going to have to come to the table and have this conversation. That's why you had the United Nations, to come to the table. All these countries, different countries, they live in their spaces, but we still got to come together and have these conversations. If we don't have these conversations, it's going to ensue chaos. Like, think about it. 2018, you got mass shootings at schools every other week. Now you got motherfuckers, mass shootings in the general. Motherfuckers just going in places killing people for no reason, for their beliefs or whatever the case may be. You got motherfuckers doing pipe bombs to fucking politicians. Like, this shit is not something that ain't been happening. It's just different on a different pedestal now because social media. We have so many outlets to reach each other that all this stuff comes to the forefront. All this stuff been happening. You go to the history of these counties and states and you be like, oh, this shit happened in 1962, or this shit happened in 75, this shit happened in 88. But it wasn't that much of a social media. I mean, it wasn't no social media at all. All you could do is go through the papers and go through the fucking through the news outlets. Now you can go through the average Joe. Somebody on Instagram can see somebody doing a mass shooting and they live in some rural ass town, but you see it because it's there. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's right, but these things have been going on forever and we don't conversate about them. We don't talk to the people who are affected by them till it happens. We don't talk about the people that need help now, not later. Now you got to come to the table now, sir. You got to sit down here, ma'am. We got to have a conversation because there's something wrong with you. We don't have those conversations. So without conversation, no solution will come. The problem is on the table. Nobody's talking about it. Everybody's just looking at it. We all looking at the piece of paper like when you didn't study for the test in school and you just write it down and so praying to God that you get it right. This doesn't work that way. It really doesn't. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to get there one day. And if you don't believe me, you can look throughout history. And I'm not even talking about long history. You can look in the 60s and 70s. They were doing bombings. They were mass shootings. There was terrorism. All these things were still going on. They were still going on. Black people getting hung. Black churches getting burnt. These things are still going on. 50, 60 years later. Because nobody wants to have a conversation. Nobody wants to talk. It's like your dude cheated on you or your girl cheated on you. And now we just going to act like nothing happened. We just going to sit here and come to Sunday dinner every day. And we're going to come to Sunday dinner, Monday night dinner. We're going to eat, watch TV, go to sleep, go to work, go back out, go out with the homies on Fridays and Saturdays, come back, go to church together, and act like nothing happened. Gotta have these conversations, man. We're not talking about it. Never going to get nowhere. Point blank period. I want to shout out to my fiance, my future wife. She holds it down. She's been doing her thing. A lot of the reasons why I don't overly indulge in my podcasting time like I was in the summertime is because I'm working, trying to do my thing, get this money right so we can have this bomb ass wedding and she could, get the wedding of her dreams and also, get some love from her, man. It is what it is, sacrifices. That's what you gotta do. Make these sacrifices so that later on down the line you don't gotta sacrifice nothing else. Love her, holding me down. Shout out to my moms, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, the fam, my brothers. Shout out to my brother. He supposed to go into surgery next Monday because today's 29th, so it'd be the 5th or the 6th. I think it's the 5th next week. That's a Monday. No, he going into surgery, going to heart surgery. I'm going to be there. Probably Sunday. Oh, I just thought about something. Nope. But it's all good. I might have to call him and talk to him about something else. I just reminded myself. But yeah, You know what I mean? It's all love in the game. I love y'all. Peace out to my Gillespie family, Reason family. Shout out to y'all because I know y'all listen to the podcast too. I appreciate your time. I'm trying to get an episode together where I bring some of my cousins on. I'm going to bring my wife on. We're going to have some full dialogue. But it'll be probably towards, the beginning of the year, more than like January, February, more than likely. It might not happen in this time frame now because, Thanksgiving is a little confusing. I'm working on Thanksgiving this year for the first time in like 4 or 5 years probably. But yeah, so I'm not going to be able to see all the fam like that. Christmas, probably not work, but there's going to be some type of confusion where I ain't going to get around until probably New Year's. So just stay tuned to the podcast. You know what I mean? We definitely gonna have it popping for the next few weeks. I'm gonna be dropping probably content every other week. So hopefully, you know what I'm saying? Not too distracted by, the everyday life of things. But, if you're out there, you're struggling right now with your everyday life, always remember it's gonna get better one day. Gotta pay attention. You might not like it now, but eventually it's gonna get to you and you're gonna be alright. You're going to be alright. You're going to come in. You're going to wake up in the morning, pray to your God, do your meditation, all day if you have to throughout your day. Do your meditations, do your prayers, keep eating healthy, drink some water, drink the water while you can. That's what I'm going to say. Keep drinking that water while you can. You know what I'm saying? Make sure it ain't too much lead in it. But peace and progress. That's all I want to say is peace and progress. We got to get better as a whole before we can change anything. We gotta get together. We gotta get better as a whole. That's what it is. That's gonna always be what it is. But love y'all, man. Appreciate your time. If you're listening, you already know how I do this thing. Shout out to Jersey. Shout out Hooterville. You already know what it is. West Side? It's like, nah, West Side all day though. You already know. And peace, man. We out of here.